What's next for UCLA following Deshaun Foster's firing? Who's the next candidate? Who would even want to take the job? Deshaun Foster, recently was fired this past week. He was fired. He was running backs coach there. It was his second stint there. Actually, he's been there under Jim Board, and he was there under Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, left up. He left willingly to take the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State, which was vacating because Bill O'Brien went to Boston College to take that head coaching job. Because Jeff Hafley left Boston College to become the Packers DC. So it's just a domino effect, one vacant job after another, just kind of, what led to this, I think Chip Kelly left because he felt like he was limited in terms of, maybe resources, or as far as like, what all they had to offer. UCLA it's in a nice part of California. South Cal. It has players. It's players in California. We all know that. But you're also competing against USC, who does pretty. I'm pretty sure wins a lot of those in-state battles. Like who wins a lot of those battles against those two. Like they're probably winning. I would say 70-30, maybe even 80-20 out of the recruiting grounds in their area. Because the two schools are not that far from each other. And so it was a trickle down effect of head coaches. Kelly left in February. They made Deshaun Foster the head coach. Some thought it was the temp hire just to get through, but it was kind of at a weird period when Kelly left. I think it was like more towards the end of February. So, around February, you're getting essentially done with winter workouts. Winter workouts probably coming to an end, close to an end. Spring break's gonna be coming up in March, and then spring practice starts. Some schools start spring practice at different intervals of the spring. So it's around that. That's a weird kind of time, especially because of the transfer portal, which it now has been it's been canceled. It's like done so now. Their NCAA has announced, so there's no more spring window. They'll have one window, and so it was around that weird time when Chip Kelly just up and left, and so they hired Foster. And then this is during the time also he was named head coach during the time when they was transferring, into the Big Ten. Them USC and Oregon, Washington, they was all going to the Big Ten to join that conference. So he was at the helm at a time of change, and I don't want to say he was set up to fail, but given the circumstances, and if there is, as it feels like for Chip has a limited amount of resources there, then he really was getting short of the stick. To be honest with you, like I said, Chip was there during his. I think the last 3 years of his tenure, he had combined total of 25 wins. UCLA was always one of them teams where they were going to most preseason they would be ranked between 18 and 25. Never no higher than maybe 17, but never like top 15 in my sense. From what I remember, like they were always in between 18 and 25. They were always a solid. They was always considered a solid team. They're gonna make a bowl game. They might make a surprise run, with the right pieces. But ultimately, UCLA was just always like right there. They were just right above average. And that's just how it's been for the past couple of years for them. You look at the coaching hires. You had Chip Kelly, Jim Mora, and then Rick Niasel. You had those three guys, and it just hasn't really been what you want. Take into account that they don't have an on-campus stadium. They play games at the Rose Bowl. That's about 35 minutes from campus, so that's a drive. A lot of people want to come to campus, to see their college team play. I can think of some other schools, Jackson State, they drive to their stadium. I'm not comparing the FCS to FBS, but there's other schools, that's just something that, some people just don't like. You would think that UCLA would have the funds to get an on-campus stadium. I think it's telling, they probably are struggling with funds. One report had them almost at losing between $15 and $25 million That's why they left. I feel like they left to go to the Big Ten because of the TV revenue. I think it was around 30 million. I want to say, yeah, it was around 30 million per year for the payout, and they need it because I think in the Big Ten it's about a 20 million, 20.5 million revenue sharing number to keep playing, to be able to keep playing in the conference. And so, but they got money. In fact, they had money. You look on the basketball side of things. They was able to get number 4 overall transfer for the basketball team. UCLA historically always has a good basketball team. That's something that they're dynamic in, is their basketball. So they're able to get good guys. It's like they have the money to get guys. If you're able to get somebody like that out of transfer portal, then that says you have some money somewhere. You're getting money from somewhere. So it's just crazy. I think you look at the Rose Bowl. It's one of those historic settings, but they don't have what a lot of college states will have, with like saying your suites and stuff like that. To accommodate for paying the prices and everything like that. So that's something I think what deters a lot of reason of what contributes to a lot of their losing of funds. I mean, he got the short end of the stick. You look at how Nico's playing. You could say, of course, his coaching, or is Nico just bad? Josh Heupel made him look decent. Until they ran into the buzzsaw, which is Ohio State. He was looking like a solid quarterback. It wasn't bad. He was looking okay, solid. And so then he goes to not really a stable coaching staff. And it's just he's looking bad. He's looking terrible. So I think it was also kind of telling because UCLA had guys, I think it was the 2024 season. They had like Dante Moore, the most notable name. He's currently quarterback at Oregon right now. They had Dante Moore on the roster. Chip Kelly had him. It's kind of telling to say, like you have guys, but those guys not gonna stay. If they see like there's no leadership, there's no growth, those guys aren't going to stick around, especially in this day and age when the portal's a real thing. So it just sucks, because you make the move to the Big Ten, and now, dude, Indiana's climbing, they're looking good. Minnesota's, I know they've been there. They're looking good. If you look at the newcomers, USC's doing okay. They're doing solid. They're not, at the Big Ten upper echelons, who else came with them? Oregon's already established themselves as the part of the upper echelon of the Big Ten. They didn't waste no time. First year in, they win the conference. First year, show up, knock on the door. You open it up. Yes, we're part of the club now, and then they run your club. They win the club. First year. Of course, they met Ohio State again. They met Ohio State in the playoffs. Different story. Ohio State was a different team when playoff time came. We all saw that, but it just Oregon showed up ready to play. USC showed up ready to play. Washington's hanging in there. They're doing good this year. I think they're still undefeated this year. They will play Ohio State. I would be interested in that game, but. Yeah, you make this move, and I think it was Oregon, UCLA, USC, Washington. I hope I'm not missing one. But those 4 teams, and you're at the bottom. Even with the Big Ten teams that have been in there, I have always been down there. Like they're doing better than you are. Like Minnesota's looking solid. Minnesota always looking solid. Like they're always like a bowl team. Iowa's always like a solid bowl team. But you're like at the bottom. This year was bad. Started out 0-3. Currently, Tim Skipper is serving as the head coach. They recently just let go of their defensive coordinator, Ikaka Malo. I hope I didn't butcher his name. But they did let go. Tim Skipper did let go. They parted mutual ways. So Tim Skipper is serving as the interim head coach. Who could be some candidates? From what I've been seeing, Jonathan Smith, Michigan State's current head coach, he did have a rebuild with Oregon State. He made them somewhat respectable during his time there. I feel like he could be a candidate. Deanton Lynn, the DC for USC, he was there at UCLA, left. Now he's at USC. He could be a potential candidate. Tony White, FSU, I've been seeing names flying around. Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator for the Browns. I've been seeing him fly around, his name around, and most notably the guy that caused him to fire Deshaun Foster, Jason Eck, head coach at New Mexico. The reason I think a lot of people I've been seeing a lot of sites, CBS Sports, 24/7, say it could be Jason Eck is because obviously he beat them, obviously, but the way he improved Idaho, how he improved them in 3 years, 7-5, 9-4, 10-4. Each time making the playoffs each year, they didn't go make a deep run, but each year they were competitive. He had Idaho competitive during his 3 years. So he could be a name. I feel like UCLA really needs a program grower. They need somebody that's gonna be the adrenaline shot for this program. They can't make a small hire. Now I feel like they have to swing big, take chances. They're gonna probably go the route of going with the proven winner. Like I said, Jason Eck is the hot name. I feel like, but what's stopping them from going to get Dan Mullen? He's got UNLV looking good right now. he got UNLV looking pretty good right now. So what's stopping them from making him one and done there? I know they're gonna want to make this hire quick. Probably won't be no time in the next month or so. I'll be shocked if they hire somebody before November, in October, November. If it's not, the hire is probably gonna be made sometime in December, I feel like. But yeah, those are just some candidates that they're looking at. So we'll have to just see. Not looking good for UCLA fans. Tough to say. They're probably staring down the barrel of a 0-12 season. It's probably what it's looking like, an 0-12 season. Who knows? They could potentially get some wins. They still got Northwestern, Michigan State, play Penn State. Man, it's hard for me to see a win, So yeah, they're staring down the barrel of going 0-12 this year, and that would be tragic. So whoever's the next guy that gets tabbed as the head coach, man, they're gonna have a tall task ahead of them, man. Tall task.